The ladies are fighting, and it's getting ugly on the boat mistake this season on Below Deck Med. I'm telling you, we saw a brand new Tumi walk onto that boat yesterday. Something has happened between these yachties. Nobody's getting along, and I think I need to break that down a little bit, give you some backstory, and then we'll catch up with this week's episode, because that was crazy. I had multiple people messaging me saying, "What did I just witness? What was that?" And I have to tell you, I don't know. I don't know whose side I'm on. I've got to see more. I've got to understand more because I'm not sure, honestly. That was brand new to me. So, Tumi is the chief stew. She has been held up at the consulate trying to get her visa situated, as well as Kyle from the previous season of Below Deck Med. He was also at the consulate. So both of them, coming from different countries, of course, were held up. And so they missed the first charter. So Captain Sandy brought back Natalya Scudder to come in and be the interim chief stew over Jessica, who will continue to be a stew on the boat, and Brooke. And the biggest thing for me to say is that Natalya was given little to nothing and really crushed that first charter. She really understood the assignment, and I think she really wanted that validation. I think things would have gone a lot differently if Natalya would have just gotten that pat on the shoulder that she wanted. She wanted Tumi to come onto the boat and say, "Wow, you've got things in great shape. I really appreciate you. I appreciate you stepping up, and let's go have a great season. Let's build on it." And instead, Tumi came in there with an attitude. An attitude that none of us saw on Below Deck Down Under, by the way. When Tumi was on that show as a second stew, she was seemingly very amicable and just happy to play in that second stew role. So I don't know if this is because of her being in a chief stew role or whether she felt threatened in some way. I don't know where it came from. It may have just been insecurity, honestly. But she came in there like a hurricane. She came into the boat and immediately started calling out things that were not proper, not organized, or not up to her standards. And I think that's totally fine. You are being hired as the chief stew. This is absolutely your role. But I think when she's talking to Natalya, who just stepped up and took on a lot more work than she really needed to because of Tumi's issues. I mean, honestly, Tumi should be grateful because in any situation, with a TV show, it could have just been simple to just be like, you know what, things are working well with Natalya. We'll just have to cancel Tumi's flights and she didn't need to come. And instead, they bring in Tumi and she just comes in and immediately starts bashing everything that Natalya does. And then she kind of gaslights her a little bit by saying, "Oh, well, I'm not talking about your organization. I'm talking about the boat's organization before you got on here." That, I'm not seeing it, and maybe there's more to this that I'm not seeing on Natalya's side, but right now I think I'm just very confused from where that came from. One telling item that could have been easy to skip over is that Tumi and Kyle got to meet each other while they were stuck at the consulate. I also know that they've both been in New York after the show filmed, and so I don't know if at some point they had met already, but she did say that Kyle had told her a lot about Natalya at the consulate while they were waiting on their visas. And I think that's pretty telling. Natalya, in any interviews or public-facing conversations, only had nice things to say about Kyle, and she didn't have to say nice things about Kyle. He wasn't particularly nice to her last season, and she wasn't particularly nice to him last season. So, I think she was really trying to make sure she didn't poison the well before Kyle got there and bash him. I think the way he talked about Natalya before the show to Tumi may have impacted how she felt getting onto the boat, thinking that she was coming in against an adversary. And honestly, she probably came in there thinking Natalya would be her number one enemy, and now it's kind of like a self-fulfilling prophecy because she immediately insults Natalya after Natalya's been working so hard on this first charter. And you know, I think it just kind of embarrasses Natalya because she thought she did a really good job. And frankly, the guests thought she did a good job. They never noticed that they were down a bosun or down a couple stews. Those guests had a wonderful time, and that's because she really put it into overdrive and gave a great service for them. So, yeah, I'm seeing that this is only going to go downhill fast. An important thing to call out is that none of them follow each other on Instagram. Tumi, Kyle, and Natalya, none of them follow each other. So I do think we'll see a little bit of a Tumi and Kyle alliance here this season, but we already know Natalya and Kyle are oil and vinegar or whatever the phrase is. They aren't going to get along for much longer, and yeah, I don't think Tumi is ready for the responsibility of handling big personalities like Natalya and Kyle. And both of them, actually all three of them, are big personalities. So yeah, this just seems like it's cruising for a bruising. I know that Jessica has already left some little passive comments here and there on Instagram talking about how Tumi's the best chief stew ever with a little wink face. You know, I think obviously Jessica didn't agree with how Natalya really overloaded them on the first charter, and I don't think that's Natalya's fault. I think she was just making do for that first charter, and Jessica came in and was obviously overworked, but that's what happens when you're a stew down. You're going to be overworked to keep up with the demand. So yeah, I think this is going to get very ugly fast. Another factor here is that as of right now, all the girls on this boat, including one that doesn't even like men, have a huge crush on Luka. And obviously Luka is into Natalya. Obviously Natalya has some weird, confusing relationship that I think we all, as the viewers, know is not going to pan out. Yeah, we already know that Natalya and Luka are going to be a thing, but we also know that these girls have the thirst for Luka. So I'm really hoping they bring in another guy to kind of split up all the attention that Luka's getting. But yeah, this could be ugly, and this could be a big factor as well. I think a lot of the girls are eyeing him, and that naturally just leads to an environment where women see others as a threat, and that's no bueno. We don't love that. But I will say, I think this season is going to be very entertaining. I don't think all three of them are going to last the entire season. I do want to call out, Kyle had a wild infection that ended up, he had to get hospitalized, and everything this past week. So wishing him a very speedy recovery. Definitely want to get him on Watch What Happens Live. Definitely want to get Tumi on Watch What Happens Live. I loved Tumi in Below Deck Down Under season 1. And I'm really hoping that this was just something that, you know, was a misunderstanding or something like that. But I think we know from the trailer that it is only going to get worse from here between the three of them. And hopefully we'll see some resolution, but I don't think it's going to be on this season of Below Deck Med. I'll tell you that. All right, so that's my thoughts on the feud. I do think there's a lot more to come, but I also am going to be entertained every minute of the way. Let me know your thoughts. Whose team are you on right now in this feud? Let me know. Thanks. Bye.